About a year ago, the president issued an executive order calling on agencies to make changes to improve the customer experience for citizens. The Partnership for Public Service spoke to customer experience leaders across the federal government to find out what's working and what needs to be improved. Loren DeJonge Schulman is the Vice President of Research, Evaluation, and Modernizing Government at the Partnership and one of the authors of the report. Loren, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
The administration has made it a priority to reduce, quote, the administrative burden on the American people. What does that actually mean?
So anytime you deal with government, there's always some challenge that you face in navigating services. That may be, which website do I go to, or how do I fill out this form, or is this even a language that I speak literally or figuratively in terms of getting access to those services? Any of those are administrative burden, but it's not just administrative process, it's also the stress that people face when they're trying to get services from the government, or the learning burden of, do I even know which agency to go to? All of those things make it harder for people to access services, and was what the administration committed to getting rid of or trying to reduce in this new executive order.
So that's a great vision. What's been the problem of getting that done?
So government is not designed for the public. It's designed from the statutes that Congress wrote. It's designed from the preferences of leaders in government. It's designed with problems in mind from 50, 60, even 100 years ago. So all of those things ultimately catch up and create and generate administrative burden for the public. This new executive order tries to think through, if we were designing a government for the people, for the customers that it's intended for, what might that look like? And it gets the policy of what that vision is exactly right, creating simple, seamless, and secure services for the American people.
And this isn't a new idea. Other administrations have tried to prioritize this. So what are the root causes here?
So I think some of it is what we were talking about before, that so much of government is designed piecemeal in tiny bits and services at a time. So one statute may design one service for veterans, another statute may design another service for disaster relief victims, and another may design for job seekers in some way. Well, all of those individuals may ultimately be the same customer who faces different challenges over the course of their lifetime. But government is designed as though they are all very separate, and they're happy to deal with those very separate bureaucracies. And let's face it, they're not. It would be much easier if they were able to combine in some form.
The report says that a customer-centric mindset needs to be created.
Yes.
How do you create a mindset? How do you change a mindset?
So the policy of customer experience, the executive order, gets the headlines right. And there's an incredible body of customer experience talent throughout government. But what we haven't done is have a change management strategy through the entire functions of government, all enterprise elements of government, whether it be lawyers or data officers or technologists or procurement officers, all of whom need to have the customer in mind when they are thinking through decisions, when they are designing programs, when they are procuring equipment. All of those things need to become more customer-centric, and decisions need to be made with the customer in mind rather than with the bureaucracy in mind.
So how would a government agency ensure consistency in customer experience? Because different agencies have different track records.
So there's a lot of fundamental ingredients that go to that. First of all is data. Instead of treating every customer as a separate entity every time they touch a different part of government, treat them as all as the same person. Be able to share data effectively across different parts of government, inside agencies and across agencies. The second is design, thinking through, making sure every time I interact with government or a customer interacts with government that it looks similarly, that they have a similar understanding of me, that I don't have to learn a new language or a new map anytime I'm touching government. And the third is making sure that every time I interact with government, they're treating me as a person, as opposed to somebody who just happens to be a one-off transaction. All of those things are in the headlines of the Customer Experience Executive Order, and now we've got to get them to the finish line.
When you say data sharing, that raises concerns of privacy and security. So how do you address that?
It's a great question. So customers deserve to have their data be protected and secured in any interaction with government. Anytime you hand over data to the federal government, you deserve to know that it's not going places that it shouldn't. There's new technologies and creative ways of using software that allow you to do things like verify income with the IRS without the IRS having to share a tremendous amount of data with you. The Federal Student Aid Office has done this a lot. Other offices have done this a lot to be able to say, yes, I know that you're making this amount of money, you qualify this over here. then the IRS doesn't have to share that data in full. They can just say they're qualified and the end of story. There's ways to work around some of the privacy concerns that people legitimately have while creating a good customer experience for people.
And none of this really happens without the budget to support it. So are you optimistic that this is really going to be funded properly?
So I think there's several elements of funding. One is amount. If I had my wishes, we would have more funding for customer experience. But in addition to that, there's funding flexibilities. People don't experience government in terms of agency statutes or agency appropriations. They experience them in terms of their life. Creating flexibility so that people can, so that agencies can create cross-agency projects that reflect life experiences rather than statute would be one key element of this. Another is passing budgets on time. So many of the things that customers face in their day-to-day lives are crises for themselves. If Congress can treat them as such and fund them not on a CR, but with an actual appropriations on time, that's treating the public as it should be.
All right, well, Loren, thanks so much for coming in the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any future Government Matters interviews.